Welcome to Monday Night Reading. This is a really special night for me because I have known Kristina Paider, or we will call her KP sometimes, for, I don't know, how long has it been? It's been over 10 years, right?
Yes, because we met on the Unbreakable Spirit Project with Lisa Nichols in
Yes.
2010 or 2011.
Yes. So I was KP's editor on a book with Lisa Nichols, and we just clicked, right? We just got to be fast friends through that process. And she's from Wisconsin. I'm from Minnesota. That might have a little bit of something to do with it. We both remembered going to the same bar in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Isn't that right?
That
Maybe
is
that's
right.
maybe that's where it started. But we share so many interests and values, and we're into some of the same stuff. And then we started working together in lots of different capacities. So I am thrilled to have KP here because this book that she is going to be reading from tonight, her book is The Hollywood Approach, which, if it fits your budget, I hope you'll pick up a copy tonight. If you already have a copy, I hope you'll get one and give it to a friend. Laura's going to be giving you some links. Laura Stone, you can give a little wave throughout the course of tonight. So hopefully you can support KP. And if it's not in your budget, you could certainly leave a review if you haven't done one already. So that's something that you could do for KP. The Hollywood Approach is this book that KP would tell me about from time to time before it was even a book. And I had the very distinct honor and privilege to be there when she decided to do it. It's a truly remarkable book that I honestly can say I've never worked on a book like this before. Very rarely does an author get this kind of genius idea. So I'm so thrilled that she's here to talk to you about it today. I'm going to let Laura introduce KP formally.
Happy to do so. Welcome, everybody. Kristina Paider, or as we call her, KP, is a world-class storyteller and best-selling author. She works as a developmental editor, a book doctor, and a writing coach. Her executive track record includes being a story analyst for a top Hollywood production company, running a marketing and research for a $15 billion luxury hotel company, and working for NBC. She's also the co-founder of the S'mores Waffle Brunch Extravaganza and an excellent house guest, if I may say so. She is a one-time rescue swimmer who travels by motorcycle, jumps into waterfalls, and is a guest chocolate chef, and lives in Nirvana, also known as the Dominican Republic. You can connect with her at her website or on LinkedIn, which I will put in the chat. AJ?
Laura always messes with the bios. I love it. She does such a good job. She tweaks it based on her intimate knowledge of said person. Welcome, KP.
Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled and fired up to be here, you guys.
So just in case you're wondering about Monday Night Reading, I think I know almost all these faces, but Monday Night Reading is a chance for nonfiction authors who are great storytellers to read from their books in the same way that fiction authors get a chance to do. So that's the inspiration for Monday Night Reading. A couple little programming notes. We love to give feedback in the chat, positive feedback, lines that resonate with you, ideas that touch you. So you'll see some of the regulars here doing that in the chat. So follow suit, please, because we do save the chat for the author. It's a really special thing to get feedback on what you hear. KP is going to do a reading. We're going to have a little chat. Then we'll do another little reading, have a little chat, and then we'll wrap it up at the top of the hour. KP, would you share with me exactly who is the reader for this book, The Hollywood Approach?
Well, all readers are welcome. All genders and identities are welcome here, but my primary reader is female personal development aficionados who have done the work and want to have fun pursuing their next big thing. And the next big thing is like a wildest dream that they, A, aren't entirely convinced is possible, B, have tried and failed at in the past, C, want so badly that they can barely say it out loud, or D, have never really sat down and done the math on its achievability. So it's a big, 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 big thing that they want.
And what is your core message for those readers?
The core message is happily ever afters aren't just for Hollywood heroines or heroes, they're for all of us.
Love it. And you know, I love to always ask this, what is the promise of the book?
By the end of this book, just like the subtitle says, you will know how to script your life like a hit movie and live your wildest dream.
I mean, that's so good. I love those book fundamentals. Can you set up the excerpt you're going to share tonight?
Yes. So the first one is chapter 1. And it's important to know that I pretty much had to be, I was such a water lover that I pretty much had to be physically extracted from lakes and pools since I was 2 years old. Prior to this story that I'm going to share, I was a certified scuba diver, a cliff diver, a water skier. And at this same time, I was working as a story analyst in Hollywood.
All right, well, we're going to let you get started. And then when you're done, we'll have a little chat about it.
Okay, sounds good. All right. The Hollywood Approach, Script Your Life Like a Hit Movie and Live Your Wildest Dream by me, Kristina Paider. This book is dedicated to every person with the audacity to wonder, can I really do this? Hell yes. Chapter 1, Be Your Own Hero. Quote, I run my world. End quote. Beyonce. In the show you call life, there is only one hero, you. You are the one who writes the scripts, calls the shots, celebrates victories, or regroups after defeats. Even if you are deferring decisions, going with the flow, or following a pattern that was set up some time ago, you are still the hero of your story. Each day, you have the choice to continue the story you're in or pivot and start a new scene. Our purpose is to evolve through our experiences. We don't need pills, patches, passes, pimps, proctologists, or prisons. We need to be our own hero. That's it. The problem is, being our own hero is not an exact science. Without a framework for it, how do we do that exactly? Just throw on a cape, start climbing tall buildings? What does it really mean to be the hero in the show we call life? In my case, there was a lot I loved about my show for a long time. Career was good, relationships were good, health was good. I took risks, I had grand adventures. But in 2013, 10 years ago from right about now, something was nagging at me, and it became impossible for that thing to stay in the background any longer. It happened in a very specific, irreversible moment, kind of like the movies. I was at my pool in Brentwood, California, down the street from Bradley Cooper. Bradley was not there during this incident, but Tom, my hilarious neighbor, was. And Tom was telling me about his barbecue spot that he was opening in the neighborhood. Great, I said, I'll be sure to tell all my vegetarian friends. And I joked as I trepidatiously dangled my foot in our pool. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, I thought to myself. A stranglehold roiled in my throat. The panic shot up, and in an instant, I was suffocating. I yanked my foot back out. Too late. The ugly gasp was coming. Tom stared at me, and everything went into slow-mo. I'm okay. Need space. I gestured with my hand for him to stay put as I fought for breath. I crawled upstairs. I made it inside my condo, closed the door, and shut out the world. It took the next hour to soothe myself back into a regular breathing pattern. Air out. Fuck, seriously? I had only one foot in the pool. Air in. This was the worst one yet, but you've got this. Air out. What's next? No soaking tubs? Air in. Try not to think of anything. Air out. How can I freaking not think of anything? Air in, stay calm. You can do it. What the fuck? I love soaking tubs and I will not give them up. Shit. And if I give up soaking tubs, baths will be next and showers will be after that. And also, I can't let my niece and nephew see me like this. Double shit. Okay. This has to change right now. For the rest of the day and night, I was propped up with pillows on the couch, suffering the exhaustion of a marathoner, sans the high. I was too baffled to cry, too angry to let it go, and too stubborn to give up. It was time to grab the reins of the show called life and to be the heroine of my own story. These panic attacks had been going on for 10 years at this point, and they were getting extremely debilitating. There was just one problem. I had no idea what to do next, except that maybe I did, kind of. See, I had written, created, analyzed, and collaborated on totally cuckoo protagonist situations before. Tens of thousands of them, actually. I had gotten the hero out of a tight spot, crafted a brilliant solution for the heroine's next action plan, written the way to a happily ever after despite villains, plot twists, and dark nights of the soul. It was time to turn the focus on me and rise back up from this 10-year thing with the water. Not being able to put my foot in the pool seemed like bathtubs might be next, and showers after that. Not being able to take a shower without a panic attack was as close to life or death stakes as I wanted to get. Love your show. To begin this process, you need 6 things: yourself, a decent attitude, this book, a journal, a pen, and a goal. These will be your tools of creation. You are the creator, screenwriter, and heroine or hero of your own life. Right now, you may not always play it that way, but if you bring your inner heroine forward, condition yourself, treat yourself like the masterful creative force that you are, what else could possibly happen than the coolest life story or best possible outcomes and experiences ever? Consider yourself a creative professional of your own life. For the duration of this book, commit to practicing the same rituals as successful Hollywood writers use to see what kind of kickassery you can create for yourself. Successful writers and other creatives routinely clear space, dedicate time, wear their lucky t-shirt, and orchestrate a very specific ritual of caffeine, treats, vitamins, and nutrition, strong body, strong mind, to open all 7 regions of the brain and get the subconscious working for them. Channel your inner protagonist. Fear not. This system works for goals of all sizes. If what you want is bigger than getting a hamburger tonight, because there are most likely no major obstacles in that, and smaller than running for the next US presidency, I've got you covered. This system works great for large, complex, tricky goals that do not have obvious first steps in their action plans. It also works for goals you've gone for and fallen short on in the past. Maybe it's something you've given up on because it seemed too hard or somehow impossible, or the odds were not ever in your favor. The rules of Hollywood storytelling are about managing information, making choices, and taking action. That's what makes it universal. That's why this applies to your life. One choice leads to the next set of circumstances, opportunities, and obstacles. Then the next, then the next. A film is a narrow window into a character's series of choices in getting from point A to point B. It's story or a workshop in concentrated format. We don't ever see the long periods of wallowing and indecision. There are no lag times. Why? Because no one's going to pay millions of dollars to produce that and put that on screen, nor are people going to watch it. So screenwriting makes a great model to study. Did you know that the average number of screenplay drafts completed before a movie starts shooting is 33? Shocked the hell out of me when I first heard it, but it's true. So instead of around 110 pages to create a movie, writers will usually produce 3,330 pages or more to be whittled down on average. So I want you to think about this. What if you auditioned 33 different solutions to a single problem? It might be overwhelming, but say the way you tackled a goal or dealt with a difficult boss, like I said, a difficult goal, a family member, a coworker. What if you put your energy into devising the best of the best solution for your biggest wishes and dreams? What could be possible for you? See, I don't care if your number one goal is up-leveling your entire life, transforming your company into a team of Jason Bournes who figure shit out and get shit done, overcoming a mystery health ailment to finally enjoy and thrive in life, or expanding your relationships and family. I don't care if it's starting a business or closing one, writing a novel or a screenplay, transforming your reactive attitude into a proactive one, launching a blog or vlog or travel podcast, or using your voice in a new way. Maybe you're starting an international culinary and yoga tour company, or you want to ace your SATs so you can get into a great college, get a great job, and pitch in with your brothers and sisters and buy your parents a house. Do the words wild dream instantly make you feel excited or overwhelmed? Does saying your dream out loud cause a lump in your throat or tears in your eyes because you've never even spoken it out loud before, or because you want it so badly that the thought of failing is more than you can take? This was me during panic attacks, by the way, for 10 years, didn't talk about it. Do you feel that by not speaking it, you keep it in a safe place away from failure? I know you can do this, whatever your this is. I know because I've seen the Hollywood approach work time after time in real life. It's easier and so much more fun than you can imagine. And every single example I gave just now, every single one is from one of my students that I personally got to work with to get them to the other side. Decide and take action. The two key components that determine your ultimate advancement toward a goal or not, just like in the movies, are choices and action. So if you know the factors that drive your choices and action, you have the information you need to choose differently and act quicker, which means you can engineer your success faster if you want. The problem for most of us is that when we figure out what we want to do and commit to it, we become so anxious or excited about achieving results that we often fan out in too many directions. This dilutes meaningful process. We put every iron into the fire all at the same time. We turbo multitask. And instead, what we need to do is choose one thing to focus on, choose one scene, just like we see in movies. We're only seeing one scene at a time. They might be fast, but it's one at a time. Then we do that thing first, then the next, and then the next. We can spend less time in limbo and indecision just by looking at our problem, our story, through a different lens, that of an adjusted mindset. You can put your own physiology and biology, plus modern neuroscience, to work for you. You don't even have to memorize anatomy or impossible to pronounce medical terms. You can also make strategic decisions, take bolder actions, and craft more creative, workable solutions to achieve whatever you want, and have a freaking blast doing it. Movie heroines and heroes teach us that with precise action, we can transform a situation quickly. Screenwriters are champions of character decision-making. They have to be. They're responsible for achieving extraordinary character transformations in 2 hours, from author to adventurer, a teacher to a secret agent, a stutterer to a world-class speaker, a broke mother of 3 to millionaire legal advocate, Erin Brockovich, a trauma survivor to a legislative provocateur, from stage frightened and songless to rock star, brokenhearted to fulfilled, lost to found, devastated to hopeful, and underdog to hero. Quote, "There are no victims in this classroom." I have always loved that line from Luann Johnson, portrayed by Michelle Pfeiffer in Dangerous Minds. Luann starts a little like a fish out of water, but consistently sets the tone around the power of choice, even with extreme obstacles and the toughest of circumstances. Being a victim means succumbing to choices dictated by others, or making passive choices, letting circumstances decide for you. The inflection point for you is when you can consciously make your own decisions. Then you are being your own heroine or hero.
Yay, this is so good. Every page is like that, everybody. Every page in the book is like that. Just gotta say. KP, why does this approach to goal setting work so well?
Because it is science, it's science backed. The approach is really science backed when you look into the science, which I got very curious after my whole escapades in the waterfalls, and got really curious about the subconscious mind, which rules 95% of our decisions. And as I started learning more about modern story science, which has only been out in the last 10 or 15 years compared to like reading and writing science, there's a lot we can do to condition our own mind and nurture our subconscious with our own stories. So this has baked in a lot of it. Also, on average, people around the world take in 35 hours of TV and movies a week on average, and that was pre-pandemic. And so our subconscious, so if you think about that amount of time, in 2 years, that's the equivalent of what we would spend on an MBA. So I talk about in the book, it's like, well, if we've been watching TV for 20 years, because we're all 25, right? We have like the equivalent of 10 MBAs in story consumption. So we're conditioned to take in stories. And if we learn to think about our own stories in these same ways, it's just a way to really align ourselves, and also like re-up with a workshop every time we watch a movie. It's like, ooh, what does that character want? You know, thinking about the structure of goals and conditioning our own mind about what is possible.
I love it when you bring the science. You always bring the science. KP, what do screenwriters know about how to help a character succeed? So if it's an underdog and the deck is stacked against them, what does a screenwriter know about how to get them out of it?
Well, I think this speaks to the character DNA chapters. They have to really dig into the character. And so they know the character strengths, and they know the strengths that are going to help the character tap into themselves and be resourceful and solve the problem. And they also know the flaw, the major flaw that the character has to overcome somehow in order to be successful in their story. And so when a character leverages both of those things, they can get to the goal.
So if we're doing this for ourselves, we assess our own character DNA. I mean, you have 2 chapters on character DNA, right? Three chapters. Okay. So this is, of course, she teaches you how to do this in her book. She's not leaving anything. It's all on the page. It's all there. So we need to assess our strengths, but also use our flaws. That leads me to a term that I love that you used. It's been my fave since you first introduced it to me, which is flawsomeness.
Yes.
Can you please just explain and define flawsomeness and how we use it?
Absolutely. It's a very highly technical formula that is a combination of our flaws and our awesomeness. And so it's where we find ourselves, it's a continuum we find ourselves on as it relates to the specific goal we are in pursuit of. So for me, I'll use my example because that's what I'm thinking of, just so top of mind right now. So in the panic attacks, I was so stubborn to the point of being obstinate about finding a solution to get to alleviate them. And even with no answer, it was just, I was so driven to do it. And the stubbornness and obstinance can be, a big drawback and a flaw, and can derail something. In this scenario, and maybe I could argue that my approach in the previous 5 years to this incident at the pool down the street from Bradley Cooper's was maybe I waited too long. Maybe I was too stubborn in thinking it would go away the same, like it would just like leave the same way it came, kind of mysteriously and in the middle of the night or whatever. But it's important to recognize, for the goal we are in pursuit of now, what is the flaw that is holding us back, and how are we leveraging that flaw or not on the continuum. One of my favorite examples right now is the Top Gun Maverick. We see Top Gun, we see Tom Cruise, we Pete Mitchell, like 35 years later, he's still got the same flaw, and he's using it to his advantage in this story to help his colleagues fly this successful mission.
Yep. Same flaw, same jacket, same haircut.
Same sunglasses.
Yep.
Like people trying to get rid of him like many times over, but he perseveres.
Yeah, okay. So what do you've been working this for a long time and you help a lot of people do this. Which strategy in your book do you use most often?
I think the one that has come into play for me, especially recently, is reassessing. It's not really necessarily prominent in here. I guess like it's in the action chapter, but it's reassessing the goal. It's the constant reassessing of the goal. And is this the right next step? I had a major injury last year, and it really had to force me to make different choices. So I talk about in a movie, and you will all know in a movie, there's a point like in the middle of the movie where something happens that forces the character on a different path or to make a new decision or sometimes to double down on their goal. And I think that in the circumstances we're in right now with the pandemic, maybe over, but probably not over, whatever, depending on what and whatever else the fallout is from that, it's important to be consistently checking in with the goal and asking ourselves, is this the right goal for the next 3 months, 6 months, year? And so in my case last year with the injury, I had to say no, thanks to my coach who was helping me so much. She's just like, what if you just totally did something else until your number one priority or only priority is healing, which is kind of all I could do. And so it's just like a very interesting thing when you start asking yourself different questions, better questions, more challenging questions about what you're doing, where you're spending your time, where you're spending your energy and resources.
I love that. I love hearing, and thank you for the example from your own life. Um, let's do another excerpt. Can you set this one up for us?
Sure. This one is this one is chapter 2. It's the beginning of chapter 2. So the story is a little bit of a continuation of where we left off. It's shortly after that panic attack.
All right, awesome. Let's go.
Chapter 2, your first big yes. Quote, if you don't live your life, who the fuck will? End quote, Rihanna. I was not in the mood for a wedding. A client owed me $30,000. I was renting my Los Angeles apartment on Airbnb, early days, crashing at a soul sister's place to make ends meet. It had been almost 5 years since I left my job as senior vice president of marketing and research of a global hotel real estate company, and all I'd managed to do was create an outpost of my old position. Same work, same grind, plus I just published a book and I was writing a screenplay for market on top of it. A colleague had taken to sending me morning texts as long as a Declaration of Independence. And following a bizarre series of events, the friendship with my soul sister melted down. So even though I adored my cousin Jackie, a ray of sunshine since the day she was born, and that's a fact, I was not feeling game for a wedding in the Dominican Republic. But then the one foot in the pool panic attack happened. Days later, my landlord told me he was selling my condo, as in the one I was living in and renting out on Airbnb. I had to move, and I was feeling done with LA in more ways than one. After obsessively Googling every possible variation of how to overcome panic attacks in the water and finding nada, I received the third phone call from my mother to ask if I was sure I didn't want to go to the wedding. By that point, I did want to get out of town. And I will say before this or at this time, I had been walking around my apartment like this, literally swiveling, going, calling all gods from all religions and all my grandparents and great Uncle Harry and anybody who's listening in, please send me a sign about what to do for these panic attacks. And please make that sign very loud so it can be very obvious. So anyway, my mom calls. I want to get out of town. I started researching the Dominican Republic because I am a miser with my corporate miles. And not even thinking about the panic attacks, I found it. A short 8-hour bus ride from my cousin's wedding in Punta Cana. Cue the epic soundtrack music, angels, harps, victory buzzer, and stadium applause, because there it was, ladies and gentlemen. 27 waterfalls. A 2-hour climb up, and the only way back down, emergency helicopter evacuation in a foreign country, or jump into each of the 27 falls. Something in me stirred. I was soul certain that attempting this feat would lead to one of two things: blowing the panic attacks out of the water, literally, or cardiac arrest. 2 words sprang to mind: exposure therapy, and then 2 more: hell yes. I booked that ticket. The sacred call to adventure. A call to adventure, aka your next wildest dream, can be a deep longing for a goal or experience to be attained, or like mine, it can be an unexpected event that causes a tailspin of consequences for which you need a strategy to catapult yourself to the other side. It can also be many things in between, next door, and around the corner. You can call it whatever you want. And as you can imagine, the bigger and juicier your goal or adventure is, the more exciting the rewards of pursuing it will be. In the structure of a Hollywood movie, a call to adventure sets the story in motion. It is the heroine recognizing that a question needs to be answered, a goal needs to be conquered, or a mission needs to be accomplished. It's when the hero, you, says yes and commits to the path, no matter what. It's the saying of yes again and again. Some examples. It's African-American detective Ron Stallworth joining the Ku Klux Klan to infiltrate its Colorado Springs chapter in Black Klansmen. It's Laura Burney faking her own death to escape her abusive husband in Sleeping with the Enemy. It's the pampered Prince Akeem of Zamunda looking to find true love working at a fast food restaurant in Coming to America. It's Thelma and Louise taking off in the turquoise 1966 Ford Thunderbird on a girls' trip in Thelma and Louise. It's Whoopi Goldberg's Laurel Ayres inventing a male persona and cross-dressing in order to make it on Wall Street in The Associate. It's sugary sorority queen Elle Woods enrolling in Harvard to win back the boyfriend who dumped her in Legally Blonde. It's Frank Tony Lip Vallelonga, a rough around the edges bouncer, agreeing to be the driver and bodyguard for Don Shirley, a sophisticated African-American pianist on an 8-week concert tour in the Deep South in the early 60s in Green Book. Quote, "There's more to life than being a passenger," end quote, Amelia Earhart. The 2009 biographical film Amelia features pioneering aviatrix Amelia Earhart, portrayed by 2-time Academy Award winner Hilary Swank, who bought a secondhand biplane and became the 16th woman in history to receive her pilot's license. Amelia was smart, resourceful, and ambitious. She set numerous records, including being the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic and the first person to fly over both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Amelia consistently bucked every convention that dictated the role of women. While the exact circumstances of her disappearance over the Bermuda Triangle remain a mystery to this day, what we do know is that she spent her life making conscious choices to pursue her dreams. Like Amelia, your first and early yeses to put yourself on the path of your dreams will allow you to start and gain momentum toward other yeses and key milestones toward your goal. Quote, "We don't turn to story to escape reality. We turn to story to navigate reality." That's from Lisa Crone. To start out, you, the heroine in your own life, must first and foremost identify your goal and say yes to the adventure, to the thing you want, to your heart's desire, your lifelong quest, your big dream, your big moment. Identifying the call. Psychologists would say that people's goals or calls to adventure usually fall into 3 categories: health, relationships, or career and finance. Adventurers may think of goals in terms of travel, experiences, and personal challenges. Artists would claim their masterpiece, something that pushes their boundaries like never before. Parents may think of this as school, a part-time job, or household projects or sports for their child. If you are focused on finances, you may think of goals in terms of units sold, a promotion received, or a salary threshold attained. Extreme sports enthusiasts would define their call as the next highest peak, the next roughest waters, or longest race. The Hollywood approach helps you orchestrate the heroics it will take to make whatever your big dream is a reality. Craft a smart adventure. If you pay close attention, a leading lady's or man's goal is similar to, if not exactly the same as, a SMART goal. We just never say it that way in Hollywood. SMART goals are commonly used in the business world in project management, employee performance management, and personal development. Super practical and straightforward, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. For some people, this one step of spelling out their mission, timing, possibility, and specificity sets them on a different trajectory from their current one, putting them on the path with much more likelihood of success. In the case of my panic attacks, I wanted to move the needle on their intensity. I defined move the needle as getting to a point at which I could get back in the water without freaking out and continue to progress. So in other words, my goal wasn't to eliminate panic attacks in one shot. That would be unrealistic and unlikely, setting me up for disappointment, if not failure, by giving up entirely. Rather, it was to take the next step to change the situation enough so that I could then take the next step after that, and I could continue progressing on my own without dramatic exposure therapy tactics in the future. This work of clarifying goals is not just important, it's mission critical. I love this story coming up so hard. Resistance. Even if your goal scares you, feels ridiculous, foolish, or impossible, please keep going. And while you're doing that, let me introduce you to Bill, who I'm guessing felt at least some of these things when he was first asked about his goal. Bill told me, I want to play drums for Fleetwood Mac in a rather surly format. Laughter rippled through the Turning Point shelter. I looked at Bill, one of 50 or so residents attending my life skills class. That night, I was leading a goal-setting workshop to help the residents transition out of homelessness to secure a job and housing. Bill did one of these. He folded his arms, sat back, basically daring me to respond. Now, mind you, I've spent years analyzing goals, obstacles, and characters and what makes them tick while writing, consulting, collaborating, and analyzing 18 gazillion characters in a bajillion screenplays. My fact checker wants you to know that literally, this is tens of thousands of scenes in several hundred scripts with thousands of characters. Not to mention managing my staff with SMART goals as I helped grow a company from $10 billion to $15 billion in 4 years. So not many of those goals, I might add, were half as interesting as helping this gent, Bill, pursue rock stardom. All right, I said, Bill, here's what we need to consider. And I proceeded to fire off a round of questions that went something like this. Do you already know how to play drums? How well do you know how to play drums? Do you know the Fleetwood Mac songs? Which ones? How well do you know them? Could you play each song solo or solos? What if you got your shot to play with them on stage, but they weren't playing the songs you already knew? Do you think you should learn more? How will you go about doing that? How will you connect with Fleetwood Mac? Do you think you need to travel to do this? What's your schedule like for the next 6 months? How many locations are driving or bus distance from LA? Are tickets available? Will you access the event with a ticket? How will you set it up? Once you're there, do you want an encore to be asked back for more? How do you think we should go about that? Notice all the answers to these questions would help us define Bill's goal in SMART terms. However wild or outlandish your dream may seem to you, however much you don't know about your yellow brick road forward, you can nudge it toward reality by treating it practically. As he listened to me rattle out these questions, Bill's eyes lit up. His entire posture, demeanor, expression, he sat up straight, everything changed. I looked at the other shelter residents, half amused and half triumphant. I knew I had made a connection. What else should Bill think about, everybody? I asked. The group was silent as their eyes pinballed around the room. Or is this enough for Bill to arrive at the specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound elements of his goal? Aha, light bulbs, not just for Bill, but for others in the room too. What happened next? Well, it's truly pretty awesome. I may have stunned Bill into silence that night. He didn't say much after that. The following week I came back, the next Tuesday I came back, excited to hear about his progress, but I was given a message instead. Bill wouldn't be in my class that night or for the foreseeable future because he was auditioning, he was rehearsing for an audition for a church band. He was resourceful and he had arranged free space to practice, and the only night he had access was Tuesday. Bill had gotten some kind of clarity on his goal. He had taken action. The questions I had fired off helped him get crystal clear on the scope and where maybe there was some movement or where he might start. And that clarity led to a doable plan, which moved him into action. I sent a message back. Bill, you passed my class. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Anybody can be their own hero. They just need a framework.
Yes, I love that you chose that story. That's awesome. That's so good. You've got a lot of fans already here. KP, since you did those 2 excerpts, you have to fill everybody in on the 27 waterfalls.
Okay.
Does the 27 waterfalls excerpt where you actually go do it, how long is that?
It spans a few chapters.
Oh, okay. Y'all gotta get
Because
the book, okay? If you don't have the book, get the book and you can read about the 27 waterfalls. Do you have an audiobook, KP?
I do not.
Oh, you need an audiobook because this is really amazing to listen to you read it. It would be huge. But everybody get the book, at least sum up for folks here. You did it. You did the 27 waterfalls.
I did. I went to it like on the 4th trip. 4th trip and 4th extension of my trip here, because I came here, a spoiler alert, so I still live in the place where where I did this. I dated my Airbnb host for 6-7 years.
Because your life is a movie.
It's a movie, and now I'm writing actually it as a movie. In your group and on Saturday's thing. So I kept extending the trip. I was so lucky to meet some amazing women and digital nomads. At that time, I didn't know that digital nomad, like I just always did that. I always worked remotely for global companies. So I was like, oh, so now people are doing this full time and just living in oceanfront penthouses for like a fraction of the price. Sign me up, or big cities, sign me up for this. But yes, 27 waterfalls. So ultimately I went totally undercover, no cameras, didn't know anybody, didn't tell anybody what was going on. The first 6 falls, some of them you like slide down on your bum, and some of them are like not total jumps. I had a real problem putting my face in water, and still that's a little bit like of a just lingering thing. But I had a panic attack on each thing I did that day. And then the 7th jump was the big kahuna jump. That was like the 30-foot jump where a lot of people just leave, or what you just, don't do it or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But the guy just was like, don't worry, everybody freaks out at this one. And I'm like, great. So I don't know if I should say what happened there. Should I say what happened there?
I mean, let's just get a little vote. Oh, Francesca says no. Who needs to know what happened? Okay, nobody wants. Oh, of course, Mitch. Mitch wants to know immediately. That's so you, Mitch. Get the book, everybody. That's your major tease. That's your major tease. Get the book. Get the book. Get the book. Hey, P. What's been surprising? about your author journey because the first book that you did with Lisa Nichols, you wrote a chapter in the book on a specific theme. Incidentally, that was an incredible story about the volunteer work you did at Ground Zero after 9/11. Also, an important story. But what's different about publishing your own book and what was surprising about that journey?
I think what the biggest the surprise is how many people showed up so generously to help and support from day one. From day one, which was day one was my sister sending me back to our room in Tanzania while we were on vacation and to say, go put your class into a Word doc. And then from there, I flew to New Jersey and had dinner with you, AJ. And you were so generous in saying, "Oh my God, I'm so excited for you. Can I help? May I help? Can I help you?" Offered your help like so generously and freely. And so then it was really like, oh shit, I really got to do this. But then like as things went through, like I was just amazed that I reached out to I wanted some like bona fide Hollywood heroines to endorse the book, and was just amazed at how many strangers, Luann Johnson herself, Valerie Plame, Catherine Volkovic, who have amazing movies, Fair Game, Dangerous Minds, and The Whistleblower. Also the leading scientist of story science, Kendall Haven, supported. That for me was like, okay, it surprised me at how legitimized I felt with those endorsements. And I don't know if it was just where I was in my journey, but I felt so like buoyed by all of those people, and so many more.
What are some cool things you've heard from readers who you didn't expect to hear? So, you have a class, which she has a little workshop, everybody. I'm not sure how often you're doing it. When's the next one, by the way?
Right now it's evergreen. I'm still figuring
Oh,
out
okay.
what that is going to look like. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Get on, go check out. You have a mailing list?
I do. And there's a free, like you can do, I have this special like freebie. I can walk you through your own SMART goals, which is great to do anytime you have a new project or something. And that's at hollywoodapproach.com. And so you can just sign up for that little course. It's like
So
33
go do
minutes.
that.
Yeah.
Go do that, everyone. Then you'll find out about her next offerings. But have you heard from some readers anything cool that you've heard that, yeah, let's hear it. We want to know.
Well, first, if I may, we have a couple of the people right in this room right now. Someone who's sitting in her home. Hi. So, backstory, as AJ was coaching me through the book, she's like, you got to teach a class, you got to teach the beta class and make sure your shit works, basically. And so she's like, I'm having Laura Stone call you. This is like such an epic, there's so many epic moments with you. It's amazing that we have not spent more time in person to get both of you, two of my favorite colleagues ever in the world. So Laura Stone, baller style, calls me like on a Tuesday and it's like, yeah, how about you start on Thursday? How about, she just like led me along. Like, how about Thursday? How about 1 p.m. Eastern? That's a good time. How about this? Okay, you can just get the class ready and get some people to show up and blah, blah, blah. Like, she's just like, you can just make the class and get students and and I'll help you do like all the other things. Amazing. And so I had the impression from Laura at the time that I was like, oh my God, like it was all just such a big surprise. I didn't really know it was happening. And I felt like, oh, Laura probably has done this like 8,000 times. And this is going to be like another one of these goal setting for her. And I didn't find out until later that she had been doing the worksheets on the side and bought her own first home. And not just a home, like, can I just gush about your home? Like, it's a mansion. It's so gorgeous. And she has her own garden, and her office has a wine vault and a casting couch. And it's just so, it's so amazing. And the thing is, like, to help my friends, to see people I love so much do their things, and the way I just have goosebumps like up and down my body, like the way Francesca, I think you started on your author journey, and was exploring that through the class. People have just such different levels of clarity, or like, oh, okay, so we just gotta see, like, let's just do the math on this and see if I could actually do this thing. So that is just, that will never, ever, 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 ever get old for me if I get to do that for the rest of my life.
That's a good segue to a question I ask everybody on Monday Night Reading, every author. What's the change you want to see in the world through your book?
I want to see more people going after what makes them come alive. Because once they do that thing, then they will do another thing and they will help another person. And it will be, that is what I want to see. I want to see people do more. I want to see people do the next number one thing that will make you come alive.
So I have to share with you, I have this crazy dream about building this little compound on the shores of Lake Superior on Madeline Island. And you told me some time ago, well, what's the next, when you talk about characters, what's the next thing, next thing, next thing? And that's, you just mentioned that a little bit. And that's been my whole approach to absolutely fulfilling that crazy, it's a 25-year-old dream. And I just keep doing the next piece. And so now we have one of the buildings up. So, that's a lot to do with you telling me, well, what's the next thing? So I think everybody, even if you don't do every single thing in the Hollywood approach, just you can hear are there pieces of it that could be enough that would then compel you forward. KP, is there anything else you wanted to share about stuff you have coming up or anything you want people to know about? No?
I feel so filled with just love and light, and that I didn't know that that was a part of your house building. And by the way, I'm going to stalk you at your house too, the way I've done with
Well,
Laura
you'll be
the
there.
past few
You're
years.
going to come.
I'm coming. I
You know
already
what
have
you need?
your housewarming down.
You need to get pictures. You need to have people sending pictures in of dreams fulfilled and so forth that you can put up on your website for sure
Yeah.
for the book.
Pictures welcome. Anybody who's doing the stuff. Yeah. No, I just there's so much I could say about this. It's I love it so much. I hope it helps people. I think there's a lot in there to pull from if you ever are in a place that you're stuck on something. There's so many creative techniques that work in telling in movies that also work in real life. And so I think that can be a really cool, fun part. Plus you can, write off your movie watching as like life research or whatever business research if you want. So yeah, I hope it's meaningful for people.
Before we say goodbye to KP, I want to point out that KP will be at our big writing sprint marathon event if you want to write with KP on April 8th, which is this coming Saturday. If you haven't registered, please do so because while it is a free event, it is not an event that's open to the public. Freestyle. I mean, it's open to the public, but you got to register. Otherwise, we end up with all these weird Zoom bombs. This is an event we do only twice a year. So I hope that you'll come. A bunch of published authors will be there, in addition to a bunch of authors who aren't published yet, a bunch of folks just trying to figure it out, from the early stages to the folks who've won lots of awards. We're all going to be there toiling away, trying to knock stuff out. Myself included. Laura will be there. I'm not sure who else will be here from this crew, but I hope that you'll come. Francesca, yay! All right. Please register, tell your friends. It's a super fun event. You get lots of prizes and meet lots of cool folks and get lots of questions answered. KP, I am so inspired by you. I love that you followed through. I think the thing I learned from you is follow through. If you have the dream, okay, let's go ahead. How are we going to follow through all the way to the end? And there were times when you were working on your book when you weren't so sure it was such a good idea, but you just stayed the course. And now look at all the people that you're helping. So I really want to commend you and thank you for spending time with us tonight and sharing your story.
Thank you, AJ. You have been such an ally, and you know how important allies are, the secret sauce to everything, everybody. You've been such an ally, and Laura, as have you, and your community and your positivity and your good vibes everywhere. kudos to you. And I wish every single person on this call and anybody watching later just so much success and the courage you need for the one next step.
One next step. One next step. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming to Monday Night Reading. Thank you again, KP. Thanks for the support, Laura, and everything. We'll have another one this coming Monday. We'll see you soon, everybody.
Thank you so much.